Okay, so today is the last day of our Analyzing Asthma project, which is really exciting. So this is going to be one of your main project grades in your workbook, and I'm planning on grading these over the weekend. So make sure that everything is kind of up to date and in order by Friday. And the last thing that we're going to be talking about as part of the project is another environmental factor. This one's kind of been going down because obviously people have been smoking less and less over the last couple decades, but we're going to see if secondhand smoke affects asthma. So this is kind of what we know from the doctors at the hospital. Since smoking can cause lung cancer, doctors wonder whether it affects asthma patients and if it's maybe a reason why people have been having more or less asthma reactions. So make a prediction. Do you think that secondhand smoke will impact asthma or have no effect, and explain? Again, secondhand smoke is if somebody in your household smokes, like cigarettes. So obviously it's something that some people have to deal with. And it is, a lot of research has been going around ever since. A lot of bans have happened on smoking and a lot of restrictions on tobacco usage in general. So we're just going to talk about that, talking more about the data and less about just like smoking in general, because obviously it's not a great thing. So just tell me whether you think secondhand smoke will have an impact on the asthma patients or not, and feel free to explain it. And then what we're going to start doing after that is we're going to create a scatter plot showing the numbers of smokers in each person's household compared to the number of asthma attacks they've had. As always, title your graph and label the axes. So our y-axis is going to be very similar to what we've had in the past. Okay, it is going to be number of asthma attacks. Really not changing anything there. And then still we're going to go by twos because that is the best scale we have found to match that data. Keep in mind I'm going fast because you have the pausing ability. You can't pause me in real life, but you can pause me on here. And then we're going to look at our data sheet. So I've actually done all of these. Wow, we've done a lot with this data. And then the last one we are doing is going to be this guy. So number of smokers in the household and number of asthma attacks in the past year. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Those are the two we are dealing with. And it looks to me like the number of smokers, the maximum is 4. So we have to get 4 numbers on here over 20 boxes. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. So actually we can say, okay, 5 boxes gives me 1. 5 boxes gives me 2, 5 boxes gives me 3, 5 boxes gives me 4, and then obviously zeros all the way to the left. And then we're just going to start going through, that's number of smokers in a household. And we're going to go through and we're going to start plotting these. So let's see. First, I have Lynn lives in a household, 3 people smoke and 3 people smoke and 10 asthma attacks. I'm getting kind of confused because there's so many check marks. Here, I'll do it in this color. 3 and 10, and then 1 and 7 will be my next one. So 3 and 10. 3 and then up to 10, and then 1 and up to 7. And I'm just going to keep going through like that, 2 up to 12. Okay, and really this is very similar to what we've done in the past. So we're just kind of going through, we're plotting all this data, and then we're going to talk about correlation. So I've done 2 and 7, I'll do 2 and 17. All right, and you can kind of keep going with me. I think I'm going to pause the video and I'll finish it, and then you can pause the video and finish it, and we'll talk about the correlation at the end. All right, so here's what my graph ended up looking like. And you can think about the correlation. Really, there doesn't seem to be much correlation. You could maybe make an argument for like very weak positive, just because the 0 smoking households had less than the 4 smoking households and the 3 smoking households, but Again, really like 1 has one of our highest number of asthma attacks and 2 has our other highest. So I would probably just stay safe and say there's no correlation. And then write something about how the number of smokers in a household doesn't seem to affect the amount of asthma attacks that the individual is having. So just go ahead and fill that in on your own. So you should have the prediction filled out on your own because that's your own opinion, and then talk about no correlation, or I guess we call this relatively no correlation. All right. So after that, once you finish that up, you're going to go on to the back, and on the back is a press release. Okay, I know we're in a math class, but we're going to do a small writing assignment. So it just says press release. Now that you've analyzed the data, you need to write a press release that explains your findings. Media outlets like radios and newspapers will share this information with the residents of Midwood. Your article should include the following: the apparent cause of the increase in asthma attacks, a description of what factors exacerbate the asthma attacks, so what's making them worse, and then advice for how Midwood residents can best protect themselves. The tone of the press release should be professional and engaging. So my suggestion is topic sentence, like what has been going on, do not copy what I'm writing down right now. I'm helping you. So that's going to be like, hey, Midwood residents, there's been an increase in the amount of asthma attacks over the past year. We have done a study to figure out what is going to help those that are suffering with asthma. Then you're going to have at least one sentence about what is causing the increase. Okay, this might be an example where you want to go back to the very front, and you want to look at some of the things that has changed over time. So we know that the power plant that converts coal into electricity has doubled. We know that the highway has expanded. We know that farmers have switched to using helicopters to spray fertilizer and pesticides. All of those things have changed over time. So you could say, hey, there are some environmental changes that are happening, and because asthma, and I guess we know asthma is strongly influenced by environmental factors, we tested some of these to see if they were affecting the asthma and if there was any correlation. Okay? Your second sentence is what factors we discovered we know hurt and have no effect. So that's where you're going to go through and you're going to look at all of our graphs and basically take the conclusions we made on each graph and you're just going to put it into a sentence or two. So you're going to say, hey, pets in the household don't seem to have an effect. Neither does having smokers in the household. But we do know that if you are exercising a lot, that is going to make your asthma worse. And we do know that if you're living close to the highway, that is going to make your asthma worse. Okay? Number 3 is suggestions. Suggestions to help. Okay, suggestions to help. So you could say, hey, like if you live close to the highway and your lease is up, you could move to an apartment or a place that is farther away from the highway. You could say, hey, if you're working out a lot and you're having a lot of asthma attacks, then do some different types of exercises so that it's not as hard on your lungs, things like that. And then we just want a conclusion. Okay, so based on our findings, here are the suggestions. We're hopeful that Midwood residents will be able to have less asthma attacks based on our findings. Okay, something like that. These all need to be different. Do not copy the person sitting next to you. Do not just go read or write down what I said in this video. Those are just suggestions, but I do need to see 5 whole sentences. Wow, 5 sentences. They do not need to be crazy long. They do not need to be super in depth, but just kind of summarizing this whole project. And then you're going to put all of this back in your notebook and I will, like I said, grade it over the weekend. So That's kind of the expectation. You can finish this up. When you are done, you can work on MobyMax. That is always an option. Make sure to update your MobyMax log, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for behaving well, as I'm sure you are.